One of the key aspects to building a successful biotech company, and one of the most important things for startups, is access. Access to talented people, driven people who are eager to drive science forward, and access to the right facilities to do that. And that's something where Biome has been very fortunate to be here in the Oslo Science Park and to have ShareLab. And in fact, we were one of the first members of ShareLab. So when we started at ShareLab, this was, I guess, an emerging idea that you would have shared lab facilities for small startups. But what it enabled us to do was to really develop the technology, test our ideas, and get the data we needed to bring to investors, to clinical partners, right? So that we could demonstrate what we knew was possible. And I think that's, I'm amazed actually at how this community has grown here in Norway. The level of momentum that the biotech community has here, I did not expect. I came from the UK, very well established. People in the UK are familiar with the Golden Triangle, right? Cambridge, Oxford, London. There's a lot of biotech. So when I came here, I thought this was going to be an issue, but I have to say what we have here at the Science Park is incredible, and to see it grow, it's grown very, very quickly. So we started in 2018 with one other company, Inhabio, and now the facilities are full, and it's a very exciting, dynamic environment to be in because there's so many different companies here, and there's a wealth of experience now from those companies. And it's a good mixture too of big companies and smaller startup companies. Our vision is that just like host genetics was an important revolution in our understanding of who we are and enabled precision medicine, where we could look at different groups of people and understand based on their genetics what treatments were right for them, the microbiome is equally, if not more important, in understanding who you are and being able to understand groups of individuals and how they will respond to treatments and how to develop better treatments, better drugs, and improve global health, particularly in complex diseases that to date have not been resolved, like cancer, diabetes, IBD, allergy, autoimmune diseases. These are areas where right now it's a significant challenge in the field. And we believe that's the case because there's a missing piece that's not being factored in, and that piece is the microbiome. What is the microbiome? And the simple answer to that is that the microbiome is you. It's the habitat that you're carrying around with you of trillions of microorganisms, just as many organisms as your own cells, that's part of making you who you are. And it plays a critical role in your health and in your in diseases that you get. So these organisms, they're in your gut, they're on your skin, they're in your mouth, your oral microbiome, and they're very important in determining how you respond to your environment. So you can imagine all the food that you eat, right? Where is it getting processed first? Well, as it gets processed, it's being processed by these microorganisms. So they're actually the first point of call in terms of how you break down the food that you eat. And we're seeing now that it's very similar when it comes to drugs. So most drugs are also interacted with by the microbiome first. And then something I find kind of astonishing, right, is that when it comes to the metabolites, which are kind of the chemicals circulating in your blood, well, 60% of those are actually, they come from the microbes in your gut. So what we're doing at Biome is we're focused on understanding what's there, what are these microorganisms, what are they doing, and what role are they playing in health and disease. Our technology is really the way that we identify different microorganisms, and we can find the barcode sequences in their DNA that tell us, okay, this is this organism, and we know what it's doing. And we can really accurately quantify as well. So it tells us for the first time, how many exactly of these organisms are in the sample. And that's something that has been a challenge in the field. I came I had a friend who was here in Norway, and I have family here, and they wanted me to come back and see what was going on. And um, I met Morten Isaksen, and he had this crazy idea. At the time, it sounded totally crazy to me. He was going to analyze the microbiome, and of course, I've been doing microbe analysis for a long time, but he was claiming that we would do this in a single day. We would do it very rapidly and accurately, and I thought it was crazy. So I checked with a friend of mine, and he, is this serious? Like, is this real? And he told me, yeah, no, this is real. He has like 30 years of experience in pharma. And so I had to know what his ideas were. And so I followed it up, and when I heard his ideas, it was actually 3 different technologies. I was convinced, yeah, let's try this out. So I came over here, and we did the proof of concept on it. And unlike a lot of things I've done in science in the past, it worked. so, so then we knew we were onto something, right? And that's really how I came to it. And from that point on, Morten and I built up the company. We grew it. We got people in, and were able to raise the capital that we needed to build a lab and actually develop the technology that we have now, which is precision microbiome profiling. We believe that microbiome profiling is an essential part of improving future treatments. And the key partners for us now, our key partners have been drug companies developing therapeutics for the microbiome. So there's a whole host of drug companies that are developing what's called live biotherapeutic products, which are actually microorganisms that are a drug. And the key thing for them is to be able to check their drug in clinical trials to measure that these microorganisms are actually there. They're doing what's called engrafting, so they're actually present and having the function that they need to have as a drug. And then also to look at the host's microbiome and how that's changing with the drug. So that's where we started. Now we have partnerships with all of the leading developers, including the 2 developers that are now in phase 3 clinical trials, so very close to the first microbiome drug. And we believe the next step from there is to bring this information wider out to pharma in general, so that pharma can benefit from this knowledge, because we believe this knowledge is equally important, if not more important than our host genetics, is also understanding the microbiome, and that drug companies having access to that information is going to dramatically improve the success of their clinical trials, because they're going to know who has an immune response primed, for example, to fight a disease. If I was to reflect on our key success factors, I would say the first success factor was that we could very clearly demonstrate our technology, and we were able to do that in a timely fashion, and that we found the right partner as well to develop our technology with. The second success factor was being able to communicate what we can do, both to our customers and investors. And that was key, because not everyone has heard about the microbiome. So we always start with that question: what is the have you heard about the microbiome? And then I think finally is our ability to execute. So one thing that I understood coming from industry that's important is the relationships you have with your customers. And for us, that's a very close relationship where you have to deliver. And I think that's where we've been successful, to have these long-term relationships, initially with the people who are the experts in the field. And I think that's a great place to start. So one of the amazing things being at BioMe is that we have an incredible team. And we've been really, really fortunate to find people who are just as passionate as every one of us about what we're doing and about the importance of bringing microbiome testing to medicine and making it a reality, solving the challenges that exist with complex diseases. And so our team comes at it from different backgrounds, but a lot of them have motivation from, history of family members with diseases, or there's an extra motivational factor, right? And so they're really, really driven in towards what we're doing, but also the advisors and the interest that we managed to pull in from outside. So we have we have key advisors in the U.S. We have Stephen Johnson, who is a former professor at Stanford, but also one of the pioneers in biotech industry IP. And so we've gotten amazing advice from him. And then we have Heiner Dreisman, who was the head of Roche Diagnostics for 25 years. So getting access to that wealth of knowledge was key for us. And that was really possible thanks to the networks that exist between Norwegian biotech history, and the US. And that's thanks to our executive chairman, Carl Christian Gillismoo, who developed a company called Dynal that invented these magnetic beads that are now used everywhere in labs everywhere to extract DNA. We use them as well. So having access to that and having that existing biotech community having been founded here in Norway, we've really benefited from